Hello. We're going to be talking today about marriage, family, and business, and the community Women Against Hardship. Hi, I'm Robin Boyce, and this is City Corner. Hello and welcome to City Corner. I'm Robin Boyce, and we've got a really great show today that's going to talk about some really good things concerning family and the community here in St. Louis. In the studios with me right now are power couple. I have to call them that because I've observed them over the years, for many, many years, are Mr. Abe and Nicole Adewale. And they are the principals and CEOs and presidents of the ABNA engineering firm, or you call it ABNA firm. You all kind of go back and forth with this. I think that's neat. I have observed you all for several years now since coming back to the St. Louis area. We became acquainted many, many years ago, but before then, just being at Charlie's Body Shop with our young girls, my granddaughter and your girls. Wow, you all have some girls. Yes. You all have a set of girls, and you all are just participatory in your babies' lives. You do lots of things with them. I've seen one daughter just grow up through Charlie's Body Shop. Yes. And Abe coming over there waiting for the girls, and some days Nicole, you're over there, and you guys kind of go back and forth, and y'all on the phones making deals, doing this and that and the other. Then I've observed you guys just doing a lot of good things in the community too for people. Tell me first off, how did you meet?
Okay. Which I'll take it.
Okay.
So that also depends on who you ask, just like our company name.
I love it.
So our friends from college will say that we met in college.
And your college, where'd you graduate from?
We went to Georgia Tech,
Okay.
Georgia Institute of Technology in Atlanta. We were both in the same program, but he was a couple of years ahead of me. Okay. And I remember the name, and I knew his brother well, and his brother remembers me, but we don't remember each other at all whatsoever.
Really?
So we say that we met my first day of work at the Illinois Department of Transportation,
That's right.
which was July 1st, 1991, and actually July 12th, 1991 was our first date, and we've been together ever since. So 23 years together, and this year, 21 years of marriage.
Really? So
Yes.
you all have met together after kind of somewhere on the college-bound route, but
Yes.
getting a business started. You met at the Illinois Department of Transportation, but then, Abe, how did this business get off the ground?
Well, it's always been a desire for both of us to be in the business environment. And after 10 years at IDOT, we had a sit down, and I said, it's either now or never.
Really?
We have to take that leap of faith and see what happens.
Was that what it took for both of you all to just kind of say, okay, was this before the babies or in between babies?
As a matter of fact, our first one was already here.
Yes.
Really?
And we were working on the second one.
Wow.
And we said, this is the time to do it. And if it doesn't work out, we're engineers. We can always get a job.
Is engineering something you all both wanted to do ever since you were little kids? Is this something you dreamed about doing?
I was the little girl who loved to play with mud pies, and my parents had the rocks as part of the landscaping, and I would pretend to be a geologist.
Wow.
And study the characteristics of the rocks, even though I didn't know what they were. And I was always fascinated by road building, always fascinated by construction. And when I was in high school at University City High, I learned about a program called Inroads.
Yes.
And through that, I learned about different types of engineering. And before that, I was thinking about architecture, and I looked at the different types of engineering and decided that civil was closest to what I was interested in. I pursued it, fell in love with it, had a passion for it, and continue to this day.
Tell us some of the things you guys have been a part of and building here in the St. Louis area.
Well, we started a business back in 1994. And right off the bat, we were fortunate enough to get a foothold at the airport. That was about the time the airport was undergoing the WW1 expansion program. And we got in there and we were involved in just about every aspect
Wow,
of the
so
airport.
all of that runway work out there,
the
that
runway,
tunnel I drive through all the
tunnel
time on Lindbergh. Wow, that's
the
you guys.
interchange.
All right.
So we were heavily involved in all of those projects. And from there, it kind of grew at a pace that we could manage. And we got an opportunity to work on the big
I-64.
I-64 extension.
All of that redoing of the freeway out
Right. The Metrolink extension with one we call the Cross County that goes down to Shrewsbury. We were highly involved in that, did a bunch of bridges, a bunch of drainage design, and then we were responsible for some of the construction management.
How neat that you all could get together as a couple. Now, how is it working together? And then after, because I observe you guys, that people are checking y'all. I mean, you all just really make it work some kind of way.
We do, and it takes a lot of prayer, and a lot of prayer, and a lot of prayer. But one of the things is we set a ground rule at very early on. So I tell people all the time, from 8 to 5, he's my business partner. After 6, he turns back into my husband. So during the day, we truly try to keep our relationship very professional, business.
You do.
And then we go into mommy and daddy mode in the evening.
How many girls? How many daughters? Four.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I tell people all the time, you know, I'm probably going to have to do this till I'm like 90 between all the colleges and weddings. But back to your question, the simplest answer is it's pretty easy for us to get along and work together when you're working with your best friend.
Now, see, that's beautiful.
And for us, you know, having that in the back of our minds that at the end of the day, we're the best thing for each other, it just makes it a lot easier to
Now you all involved with building this business, continuing to get contracts. And when I was on my way in here to the studio, you all were outside having a conference call with a client. And you're constantly busy working with the girls, raising them up. You got one in college now, I believe, right? Two in college.
One who is she's going to be in her 4th year of a 5-year master's program at the University of Kansas. And then the second one just graduated from U City High, and she's going to enter as a civil engineering student at the University of Kansas.
I was going to ask you, any of the children interested in going into what you're doing?
Yes.
Well, the oldest one is in architecture, and she continuously talks about including architecture as part of.
So they like what you all do
Yes.
As a business, and would they possibly fold into the business for those who are graduating in the area?
We are hoping to do that. We figure with 4 of them, if we can get at least one of the 4, maybe 2
wonderful.
involved. The third one has not yet decided what she wants to do, but the fourth one
She has
who
grown up
is
so much. Oh my goodness.
yes, and the fourth one who is 10, the youngest one at Charlie's, she's already decided she's going to pursue architectural engineering.
Very good.
And she's going to attend the University of Kansas.
That is awesome. Now, with all of the children working the business, I look up in the paper and there you are sitting there having some discussion with somebody with reference to minorities getting into business construction or receiving some award. Then you sit on boards, and how do you do all of that too?
Well, you know, we consider ourselves to have been extremely blessed. And the only way to pay back is to help other people, you know, understand the journey that we've been through and give some guidance in whatever capacity that we can. So to us, community involvement is just part of what we do. It's a requirement to be an Adewale, to be involved in the community.
Now, I like that. That's a mandate.
I agree, and that's something that my parents brought me up. They were very involved in the community between sorority, church, community organizations. My father served on the Annie Malone board in the 80s. I served on it in the 90s.
Wow.
No, he was in the 70s, a long time ago. And then also we're involved in the National Society of Black Engineers, also FIRST Robotics. And a lot of the things people say, well, how did you get involved in this? Because we volunteer a lot. And so when we volunteer and give of ourselves, then we are returned and blessed to be placed on a platform where we can continue to help others. Sometimes that indirectly benefits us, but we don't do it for that reason. We do it so that we can bless other people. And I feel that if I've been given some resources, connections, opportunities, then there's no reason for me not to share it with somebody else.
That's awesome. Now, what are you both feeling about the leadership here in the St. Louis area at this time? Does it need some shoring up? Do we need to go and grab some more young people to get them interested in public service and some of the other areas to shore this community up? I mean, what are your opinions?
One of the things that we really struggle with in the St. Louis region is the ability to keep young people here because they don't see St. Louis as being progressive enough. We have a lot of young people coming from so many different cities to take advantage of our great educational institutions. And guess what? The minute they get that certificate or that diploma, they're out of here as fast as they can.
Right.
And so that is an area that we are constantly striving to help improve the pool of young people within our community, especially in our industry, in the engineering industry, to make sure that we can create a cadre of young people that would hopefully work in our community, do great things in our community, and contribute.
Great.
And in addition to that, so where the leadership is, the leadership that we have some great people who are really dedicated to the community, but we also need to intentionally involve younger people, and that includes from our age down. We're still in our 40s, but we also need to reach out to those in their 30s and begin to develop their leadership skills, but also give them the connection so that they can be in a place where they can give back to others. You shouldn't have to be into your 60s and 70s until you're in a position to influence.
That is the reason I wanted to get y'all on the show, to talk more about who you are, what you all have done as a couple, as business partners in the St. Louis community, and as community leaders here. I want to thank you so much for coming on
Thank you.
City Corner and talking with me more. We got to do this again. I'd
We
like to
would
get a bunch
love
of
to.
married couples on this to kind of talk about what y'all do and how you do it here in the St. Louis area.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and we'll be right back after these messages with Community Women Against Hardship.
Have a kit so you're ready for any emergency. Develop a plan for what you and your family will do before disaster strikes, and stay informed during severe weather any way you can.
You must be your fairy godmother?
It doesn't take a fairy godmother to tell you that the right fit means everything. Especially when it comes to car seats. Always choose one that's the right fit for your child's age and size.
Oh, that does make a difference.
Remember, their happily ever afters are in your hands. To find out more, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
Abandoned and lost. From the dark, cold streets of the city to a cage in the local shelter, to heaven, your lap.
Now it's time for This Week in Bad Stats.
Bad stats?
Horrible stats. Here goes. 132.
That's how many batters struck out 4 times in one game last season.
Wow, very good. Here's a tough one, though. 3 and 4.
No idea.
That's how many kids witness bullying. 3 out of 4.
That's not a good stat.
No, it's not, but it can change. Kids want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov and give them the tools they need to help prevent bullying.
There are plenty of safe ways kids can help at stopbullying.gov.
And welcome back to City Corner. I'm Robin Boyce, and in the studio with me right now is Miss Gloria Taylor, who's Executive Director of Community Women Against Hardship. Thank you so much for coming, Gloria.
Glad to be invited.
This long time
It's a long
friend,
time, absolutely.
yes. And this, now tell me a little bit about Community Women Against Hardship. This is an organization, you founded this organization.
Okay, I was with Marguerite Rose Barnett, who was chancellor at the university, when I read a report and I said, this can't be true. 1 out of 3 kids are below poverty, at the poverty line, are the working poor, and so
really,
I said I ought to be able to do something about it. So that's where it began. The journey began at the university, and
University of Missouri St. Louis.
University of Missouri St. Louis, as I was working directly with her, and great to have a campus get involved with what we could do to make a difference. But to gain momentum, when Betty Jordan Lee came into the university, and that's why she's considered a co-founder, because her record as a civil rights activist, a journalist, an educator, credibility in the community, because they say this little
Betty Lee.
Absolutely, this little woman's running around talking about make a difference. Who is she, and that kind of thing. And Betty already had that reputation, and so she became a volunteer caseworker and certainly an advisor through the years in terms of gaining the genesis of the program. And we began by just making a difference with food, but then you learn very quickly man doesn't live by bread alone, and so the program today, of course, has changed considerably since we began that almost 26 years ago.
26 years, you have been really at it, making a difference. Now, you found, tell us about this school building that you found to set everything up in. It's just fabulous.
Well, it was a school. It was a school.
It was
and my mother went to school there, and then, of course, when the tornado came into St. Louis, it destroyed that building. And they built this one, I guess, back in 39 or 40. Any event, people said, oh, good grief, nothing can be done with that building. I said, well, with faith, we'll see.
That was, what's the address over there?
3963 West Bell.
West Bell, okay.
And, of course, very important to this whole process was the Alderman Terry Kennedy.
Yes.
Because he was very supportive, and of course, Honorable Darlene Green.
Yes,
So it made a difference in terms of having their support, and we were novice in terms of that whole process.
Really renovating it and getting something done,
but people
having the
came
city
from
help
across,
you with
yeah,
it.
they came from across the country. And the major group in terms of volunteers was through Leroy Zimmerman, who was Vice President of Lutheran Family and Children's Services, and I had worked for them. And he immediately came and said, we can get people from all over to come in, and they did. Many ministers, even in the St. Louis area, came to help with the renovation project. And I won't leave Tony Thompson out, because he came as the project manager, even though at first they absolutely, they tried to say, oh no, find another building. This building is so old, it's got asbestos, it's been burnt, it had every negativity in terms of architecture.
I had no idea just walking up.
Absolutely.
I mean, a few years back, I came in, did a little project for a little while with reference to
the garden. You did the garden.
Yeah, it was so much fun, really working, because the kids did not realize that the food didn't grow in snooks.
Exactly.
That you actually had to dig up in the backyard, and it was really great, because you already had Gateway Greenway to put some of those big pots in.
There. Yeah, right.
You've had a lot of people come in and really help you with the building. Now, you've helped women over the years find housing, go get through school, and you do some really neat things with the children. Tell us a little bit about those programs.
Well, the program, I guess if you call it a paradigm, we think about, we still, in terms of furnishing their houses, because you can't, the philosophy is you can't talk with people about education with the way that they live. And so that's still a foundation of Community Women. And the public at large donates the furniture and the appliances and the household items. So we still do that. Once we do that, then education, of course, has to be the hallmark. And we have various forms. We're not a school. But in music, we have the Institute for the Advancement of Jazz Study for intermediate students, and we have a beginners program now for the little ones, third, fourth graders.
Some of the teachers,
Absolutely,
though,
and,
my
well, they're
goodness.
outstanding. That's a professional staff in terms
Yes.
of. In fact, all of the people that have come to us, we've been very blessed, are extremely skilled. They certainly don't come for the money.
No.
I'll put it that way. They say
No.
one day you're going to really
They
pay
love
us.
what they're doing.
They're giving back. Much is given, much is expected, is what we say, and so they do come back. So they are all professionals in terms. They're professional musicians.
Yes.
That are there, and so fine arts is the same way. We have CAT fellows teaching kids. They're certified to teach with young people that have not had that exposure.
Right now, showing some of the kids that are
Exactly.
working with with some of the programs and things like that. Now you've got a kitchen.
Yeah, we've had, well, nutrition and fitness is still a major part of what we do because our health.
Yes.
We're also proud to have a memorandum of understanding with the University of Missouri St. Louis.
Yes.
Now, we're now a clinical agency for the College of Nursing, which helps us, you know, in terms of HIV/AIDS prevention, over-the-counter drug abuse, how to talk with my kids about sex, and where does that start. So we're happy about that. We also have career assessment and counseling through to the Department of Education. That is not part of that MOU, but Dr. Angela Coca comes to work with them to see what gifts has God given you, because many of them think they don't. God is not for them.
Now,
They
do
just-
you find yourselves greeting at the door women who come in who are downtrodden at the time?
Absolutely.
Don't just feel very good about themselves.
Self-esteem is a major piece, self-esteem. And the other is mental health. Many of these women have been chronically depressed that we call and label kind of negative comments about them, and many of them are chronically depressed, which is a mental health disease and is treatable. So we recognize that. So we get an array of people with a number of different issues, but we use the community as the resource. Obviously, we recognize we're not the total answer, but everyone that comes through that door gets a hug. That's important to know, but it's got to be real. And once they learn that, because you can see some kids pulling back because they're not accustomed to that. What's this woman doing? I mean,
Sure.
you know. But I think those things are extremely important. So we have programming now for both, not only the youth, but the parent, because oftentimes people don't recognize that child still has to go return to that neighborhood and to that
I'm so glad
household.
you recognize
well,
all
absolutely.
of that.
And here's the philosophy behind that. What we live with, we learn. What we learn, we practice. What we practice, we become. And what we become has a consequence in life. Oftentimes, it spills over into the community in anger and frustration and violence. And
But I'm so glad you see that,
well, we see
and
that
from a
we feel-
holistic point of
absolutely.
view.
That's the word.
And that Community Women Against Hardship is at least working with the situation that way, rather than, for example, someone gets shot or there's a gunshot wound or stabbing, they patch folks up and send them home. Instead of taking that holistic approach about, okay, how did they wind up in this situation?
Exactly.
And what can we do differently to fix this situation? Whereas your organization, individuals, are they referred to you through social service organizations?
Well, they're
or-
referred through a number of sources. And you know the St. Louis American newspaper, I can't leave Donald Suggs
Right.
out
Oh, he's
because he
been-
had been a
yeah.
partner since we began. So back
Okay.
in 1989,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Betty had written
Okay.
for the paper. She introduced me
Yes.
to him, and we talked with him about the concept. And so we formed a People Against Poverty campaign, which still runs today, which people nominate. You know, you can nominate families.
That's
you can
done at
refer people.
Christmas or is that
Exactly.
sort of-
That gets
okay.
profiled at Christmas time for obvious reasons. People feel warmer and more
Sure.
sensitive about this
Yeah.
situation, even though we work with people year-round.
yeah.
Okay, and as you know, some of them have been with us for years. So as they meet one objective, then others are established. We didn't get where we are by, it takes steps.
Right.
And so the
Right.
thing now is we have a young alumni starting because they have to learn to give it back.
That's awesome.
And the other is
So
young.
these are the people that you service?
Exactly, and they're
Okay.
coming back. Young professionals is the next thing that we're doing now. So we're taking young people from 25 to 35. Resources is different, ideas are different, and oftentimes they're not included because we're the wise ones. We have all the answers, and they're not on the boards, they're not listed as advisors, and many of these young people, they're creative, they've got great ideas, and so that's what
Yeah, they do.
what's happening now. So I just spoke to them, the guests that you had on in
Yes.
terms of engineering, because we do need a young engineer. That we're trying to get different kinds of careers to come together to have impact upon these young people, as we need additional.
That's great. Now, one of the big fundraisers, you do a huge annual fundraiser every year. You have any idea who's coming?
Well, we've got a group that's coming back again because they just love
That's
it.
the
All
girls.
women. That's
I love them.
all women will be back again.
What's the name of the
Jazz
group?
in Pink.
Those ladies can, oh my good, they are performers. They are excellent.
They're energetic, and I think people feel good about the music. And so I got so many calls. I go places, and they said, "When you bringing them back?" So I said, "Well, we'll bring them back
Gloria,
again
those
this
ladies.
year."
Now these ladies are backup players for some famous groups.
No, they in their own rights.
In their own rights, they've got their own things going on.
And most of them are from Los Angeles.
Yes.
But Karen Briggs is a classical trained violinist and was with the symphony.
She's just
but now she loves the jazz, and certainly others have done that. Regina Carter is a good example of that. And so they didn't get to see a lot of her. So this time we're trying to feature her a little more, so they get a chance to really hear.
Well, they're just fabulous performers.
Well, they are. So
and just tell some of the other folks that you've had come.
Oh my goodness, we've had Diane Reeves, Nina Freelon. Let's see, what's the one that Melba Moore?
Melba Moore.
I did get Melba Moore to come,
Yes.
So we've had Straight Ahead. It's been so many groups. We always try to feature a woman. And somebody said that to me, why do you always have women? I said, in this industry of jazz, especially traditional jazz, that it's very difficult for women. And so it seems to me this is the perfect place.
This is still difficult for women.
Exactly, in these industries, and they have families, they end up having children and what have you, and people look at that and looking at it a little differently than they do the counterpart in terms of the male. So I'm happy to always feature women.
It's great. And then you also have fundraisers in between at the
Yeah, we have a jazz, the bistro, of course, is closed now. So we have one coming up on the 20th.
Okay.
And we're bringing in the grandniece to Lena Horne. Her name is Kimmy Horne. I'm excited about it. She's a beautiful woman.
She's singing?
She's singing. She will be the feature at BB's Blues, Jazz, and Soup, which is 700, I think, South Broadway.
Okay.
So that's July 20th. It is a brunch. It starts at 1:30. And again,
those brunches are nice.
Yeah,
they're very nice.
I think it's right after church, and people seem to enjoy that format. So we'll probably return to the bistro as it's reopening.
Oh yeah, for sure. You've got to, because that's the tradition. I want to thank you so much for coming on and talking with us about community women against hardship. I mean, no, I just love you, and I love what you're doing down there. And I've been saying I got to get back with the garden, but
because
you've
always been there. Thanks so much, Robin.
But this is just wonderful to have you on, and thank you for just taking our time to come back.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
just tell everybody here in the St. Louis area about community women against hardship.
Thank you so much.
And we want to thank you so much for joining us here on City Corner. I'm Robin Boyce. We'll see you next time.